Martin Luther King Jr. Day events are coming up after Easter break.
And a food drive will be happening to help support Hilltop.
And it's a wet scene out there in Valparaiso. Got a lot more rain and wind coming tonight. We'll give you all the details coming up.
We have that and more. This edition of 15 News at 5 starts right now.
Thank you for joining us on 15 News at 5. I'm Blake Harms.
And I'm Nick Rakowski.
Valparaiso University will be celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. Day on April 7th. Because of the change to the academic calendar this semester, the traditional day of celebration had to be moved. This year, the theme will be Lessons from the Movement. The keynote speaker will be Molefi Kete Asante, PhD. Some events will be held after 5 p.m. to encourage community members to participate as well. The schedule of events can be found at valpo.edu/MLK.
The Food Access Committee will be holding a food drive to help support Hilltop House from April 7th to the 23rd. It will be held as a competition through the organizations, and the organization with the most donations at the end will receive a trophy and will be recognized on Student Senate's social media. There will be an all-school email coming which will have a link to the list for needs for Hilltop, and is being asked that donations follow that list. The goal is to collect 4,000 items to help Hilltop House and the food insecure students to use them as a source for food.
Valparaiso University has been recognized as one of the nation's most transfer-friendly schools. The university is one of 150 colleges and universities in the nation that was honored. This recognition is determined by looking at different criteria such as admission practices, cost of enrollment, campus life, and recruitment practices. This is the second year in a row that Valparaiso has received this honor.
Well, this week's poll is out. With break coming up soon, what are your plans? Are they spend the time with family, work on homework, travel, or sleep? I could use some sleep myself personally. Head on over to our Twitter page after the broadcast to cast your vote. Well, we have 15 weather. Blake Harms in the studio. Blake, is spring here to stay, or are we going to see another batch of winter coming up?
Well, thankfully we look to be snow-free throughout our forecast. Going to get chilly for a few overnights, but the main story right now is this rain and wind that's heading in our direction. You can see a rather expansive area of precipitation that's beginning to spread northward. This is part of a rapidly deepening low pressure system that's producing severe weather off to our south. Now, with this deepening low pressure is going to come some strong gusty winds. We could see winds in excess of 50 miles per hour overnight tonight. Now you can notice some of this lighter to moderate precipitation starting to overspread our area. This is going to continue to develop and move in as the evening progresses. The overnights, and we're expecting that heaviest rainfall to occur. In terms of temperature, it's a bit cooler than it was yesterday, 11 degrees cooler than at this time yesterday in Valpo, and that's going to we're going to rebound over the next few days. Thankfully, right now, temperatures across the region, 46 in Valpo, upper 50s over near Fort Wayne, and then as you work your way up towards the northwest, it's a little bit cooler as well. We'll have more on timing out that rain, how much we can receive, as well as its severe weather in the south coming up in just a bit.
Thanks, Blake. A missing wallet was returned, and March is National Kidney Month. Stick with us. Well, some things you think are lost forever eventually make their way back to you. That's what happened to an 85-year-old woman who lost her wallet at school back in the 1950s. Kofo Laskai has the story.
2, 1. All right.
A $19 million renovation of Poquoson Middle School unearthed something priceless. As walls started coming down, a piece of history saw the light of day for the first time in around 70 years.
There's a calendar from 1951, some wonderful stamps of Santa Claus from 1951. There's 2 pictures of people that were important to her.
A contractor recently discovered this wallet that's been lost in the ductwork since the early 1950s, when Poquoson Middle School was still Poquoson High School.
It says, "Dear God, protect my Jimmy in his Navy uniform."
A small newspaper clipping asked God to protect all the Navy men during the Korean War. Some things have held up better than others, but the wallet is mostly intact, holding on to stories long forgotten.
She remembers playing basketball in the gym put her wallet down, and then it was lost forever.
That is until now.
There was a ledge there that I had laid my wallet on, and when I went to get it, it wasn't there, but there was a hole opening behind that ledge, and so my wallet had fallen down.
As luck would have it, a little blue book with names and addresses helped the district track Esther French down 500 miles away in Beacon Falls, Connecticut.
Well, it was absolutely shocking when I learned about it. So just very surprising, but interesting.
She figured she lost it when she was 16 or 17. Now, at 85, she's looking forward to flipping through the pages of the past.
Well, March is National Kidney Month. A 57-year-old woman in Virginia Beach, Virginia, is in renal failure and urgently needs a kidney. Her desperate husband put up a billboard in hopes of finding a kidney donor for his wife. Chelsea Donovan has their story. If you or someone you know would like to be screened for a kidney for Cindy Hitch, you can contact Centera Transplant Center at Norfolk General Hospital in Virginia.
Well, their votes are in, and there's a new Cadbury bunny. For the first time ever, an amphibian is inheriting the bunny ears. Betty, the Australian white tree frog, will represent the Cadbury this year. She's also star in the Clucking Bunny commercial coming soon. Betty's already featured in a brief sneak peek. This is Betty's first Easter at less than a year old. She's already a natural at the bunny hop. Betty beat out 12,000 other entries, including a donkey, a miniature horse, and a goat. In addition to starring in the commercial, Betty will get a $5,000 cash prize. Well, coming up after the break, Blake Harms will have your full forecast.
That's right. We'll also take a look at your Valpo and national sports. Stick with us. Well, it's been a rather gloomy, cloudy day today, but we're just now starting to see those raindrops beginning to fall. You can see a few of them on our camera here. That's only going to continue to pick up throughout the evening as we see a rather steady to perhaps briefly heavy rain persist throughout much of the night tonight. Current look at regional radar, you can notice that wide swath of rain beginning to push its way off to the northeast. We're going to be almost in a direct line of fire for some of this heavier precipitation here in northwest Indiana overnight tonight. That's also going to coincide with some gusty winds, could be in excess of 50 miles per hour at times. We do have a wind advisory in effect through tomorrow morning. I want to take you down south momentarily. You can see a few extremely dangerous tornadoes are currently ongoing here. One is south of Tuscaloosa, the other just to the northeast of Birmingham. They had a high risk today. It was expected that they could see a tornado outbreak, and unfortunately that appears to be occurring in Alabama. Fortunately, we're not dealing with that at home, but what we are starting to see is some rain fill in on the radar here. Right now, just mostly light to moderate, but this is going to continue to increase in intensity as we head throughout much of the evening tonight. You can notice by 9 o'clock, we've got perhaps even a heavy rainfall occurring. Combined with those gusty winds, perhaps up to 50 miles per hour, it's going to be an awfully nasty evening to be out if you have to. We stay right in this axis of heavier rainfall for several hours. This is just after midnight, and it's not until about 4 o'clock, right before sunrise, when we finally start to see that rain begin to push out. We should remain mostly cloudy through much of the day on Friday. Now, by the time this is all said and done, we'll likely see rain totals perhaps nearing 2 inches, which is rather substantial considering how dry of a spring we've had. We've actually now entered a drought category, a minor one, but a drought category nonetheless, and so this is certainly going to help with that dry ground we have. And again, a lot of this is going to fall between the hours of, let's say, 6 o'clock tonight and 4 o'clock tomorrow. So within 10 hours, we could see almost 2 inches of rainfall. So it's going to be a rather substantial event. Current temperature is a bit cooler. We have that influence from the lake, 46 in Valpo, 43 in Gary. A bit warmer as you head off to the southeast, 54 in Knox, almost 60 there in Rochester. So a rather chilly day, and with those winds picking up, it's going to feel even colder. As we step to your future temperatures overnight tonight, we get down to the 30s before warming back up into the 40s. And by Saturday morning, we're back up to 40s. Saturday's going to be an awfully nice day. Temperatures could reach the upper 60s, but then we have a bit of a cool down after that. Temperatures are rather up and down. As we look at our 7-day forecast, you'll notice Saturday and then again Tuesday are the warm days. Pretty pleasant start to the week next week. No major precipitation chances until Wednesday. Just got to deal with that rain tonight and then perhaps a few more showers on Saturday, but again, tonight's going to be that real soaker. Again, if you don't have to be out, I probably wouldn't recommend it because between that wind and heavy rain, thank goodness it's not snow, but it's going to feel an awful lot like a snowstorm with the
with the wind and everything, and then possibly wind chills getting us into cooler temperatures.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, glad it's not snow.
Yeah,
we can't deal with snow anymore. We've had too much of that.
Yep. Take it where you can get it.
Yep. Well, after the break, we'll have a recap of this week's past week's sports. Valpo football was in action for the first time at home this season against Drake. Valpo would score first in the game with a field goal halfway through the first quarter. However, Drake would be quick to answer with a touchdown with just under 3.5 minutes left in the first quarter. Drake would then tack on another field goal in the second quarter to lead into the half 10-3. In the second half, Valpo would be the first to put points on the board with a field goal in the third quarter to make the score 10-6. However, Valpo's offense would stall out as Valpo was without running back Robert Washington. Even with limiting Drake to only 211 yards of total offense, Valpo would fall by a score of 17-6. Valpo's next game will be at home against Butler this Saturday. Men's baseball was in action in a 3-game series at Western Kentucky this past weekend, with the first matchup on Saturday. Valpo would go out to a 3-1 lead after the 5th inning. Western Kentucky would score 7 runs in the next 3 innings to win 8-4. The second game of the series would prove to be a much better effort offensively by Valpo. Tied 6-6 after the 8th inning, the game would go to extra innings. Valpo would score 2 runs in the top of the 11th inning to win 8-6. This was Valpo's highest scoring and hitting game of the season, with 8 runs and 15 hits. The third game of the series saw Valpo's offense stall out. Western Kentucky would add 10 runs in the 4th inning to win the game 11-1 and would win the series 2-1. Baseball had one final game this past Tuesday at nationally ranked Notre Dame. Valpo would take the lead through the 5th inning 3-2. However, Notre Dame would score 2 runs in the 6th and 7th inning and would hold on to win 6-3. Men's golf was in action this week at a tournament at Twin Oaks Country Club in Springfield, Missouri. The team would be at the top of the field for most of the tournament and lead all 6 Missouri Valley schools. Led by sophomore Caleb Van Argon, with a total 209 4 under, Caleb would finish runner-up in the individuals. Valpo would go on to finish 3rd out of 18th. Junior Garrett Willis would finish at 8 over, and seniors Brett Seward and Drew Alexander would finish at 9 and 12 over, respectively. So it was a good golf tournament for them down there.
Yeah.
But I know you and I are more interested for this Sunday. For the first time since 1970, NASCAR is going to a dirt track, and they actually converted the concrete track of Bristol into dirt, which is really interesting. But I know you're worried about the weather.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I was optimistic at first. It's just looking like it's going to be a washout. The question is how they can handle the rain on that dirt.
Well, I guess we'll find out this weekend with Saturday forecasted rain and Sunday forecasted rain.
Yeah,
so.
between that and March Madness, it's going to be a full weekend.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm watching the Michigan-Florida State game real hard this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. All right, thanks, Nick. After the break, I'll have a final look at your weather forecast. One last check at that forecast. Awfully gloomy, nasty night tonight, up to 2 inches of rain with some wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. Then we clear out for Friday. Slight chance of some thunderstorms on Saturday, a bit warmer. Up and down temperature-wise, looks like we'll stay precipitation-free for at least Sunday into Monday, so a nice start to next week. But just got to get through tonight, and we should. Again, we're avoiding the snow, so again, that's all that matters.
As long as we have Easter clear too, that's all that matters.
True.
Well, our student organization spotlight is back with an interview with WVUR.
For this week's organization spotlight, we sat down with Blake Harms, the general manager of WVUR.
Well, WVUR is the university-owned and operated radio station, so we're entirely student-led. I'm the general manager. We have 10 other students that work alongside me. We basically run the entire operations. We're the home of Valparaiso University Athletics, so we have folks who travel for basketball games, football games, etc., and provide those broadcasts. During the day, we have regular music programming. We have student shows. I'm about to do one actually in just a few minutes here. And then we also have news program that airs every weeknight, various podcasts that are aired on the show. So a lot of variety here. And it's all student-led and operated. So it's pretty easy for students to get involved. I became involved early on, freshman year. The easiest way to get involved is just doing your own show. Basically play whatever music you want, hook up your computer, and then just talk about the music, share it. And then you can also get involved in a news and weather capacity if that interests you on the source, the evening source that is 5 o'clock on weeknights. We're always looking for folks to fill those positions as well.
If you have a student organization that you would like us to spotlight, send an email to vutv.productions@valpo.edu.
From all of us at VUTV, thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next Thursday. Actually, 2 Thursdays from now, April 15th on 15 News.